So tell me, do you want to build a snowman? Or would you rather build the last bastion of humanity at the end of the world as the planet plunges into an ice age? And you've only got late 1800s steam technology to hold back the snow.
When we end up with next to nothing, we don't do what we believe is right, but we believe what we do will make us right. It is not shelter nor food that brings us consolation. For it is hope that makes us grow.
Frostpunk is technically a city builder in that you need to sort out the housing, food and power needs of your handful of survivors. But it is the survival side of the game that provides the real challenge. The temperature starts out well below zero and drops even lower over time, which makes it harder to provide livable housing, harder to grow the food you need, and harder to keep everything warm and cozy. Unlike other city builders, which tend more towards freeform, endless building, Frostpunk has a handful of scenarios providing specific challenges. The first scenario, which you'll need to beat to unlock the next, is also probably the best, as it's pretty much a straight up race against an incoming storm. Things start out fairly simple, as each scenario has a few piles of junk conveniently lying around the crater surrounding your central generator, getting you started with some wood, some metal and some coal. Tell your people to wade into the snow and bring materials back to your storage tent and they'll trudge off. Before you start building streets and heaters, they will actually forge paths through the snow on their way to gather materials, and these tracks will fill up with snow over time. And that's basically all I've ever wanted in a city builder. Anyway, once you've got a few tents set up, a medical facility, maybe a hunting lodge and a cookhouse to provide some food, you're ready to tackle the larger challenge of building a sustainable settlement. To get started, you'll want a workshop, as that is where all your research happens. Now, you have to make some tough choices here, as getting better generators and heaters will doubtless help in the long term, as the cold is a constant threat. But in the short term, you'll want a beacon, allowing you to scout the wasteland beyond the city. You'll want a hothouse to grow your own food, and you'll probably want a coal mine to, mine coal. Everything that provides heat requires coal in increasingly greater amounts. If you build too many steam hubs or run the heaters 24/7, you might run out of coal, causing your central generator to shut down. Now, it does so gracefully, cooling off over time, which gives you a chance to shut off some heaters to lower your fuel usage or to ramp up your production if possible. This desperate hunger for coal can be relieved somewhat by researching efficiency technologies, but there are also alternative means of generating coal, including a coal thumper, which, well, it's fracking, okay? The world's already ended, it's fine. Alongside the research system, there is a choice of various laws to enact. Want to put the children to work? You can do that. Provide palliative care to gravely ill people, or chop off frostbitten limbs and replace them with prosthetics. There's a series of choices where enacting one option may lock you out of others. You can't change an enacted law and you have to live with the consequences, good or bad. Later, you might even need to choose between becoming a police state to keep the peace or a non-denominational religious one. There are no best choices here, although the game itself might judge you more harshly if you choose the morally problematic options. Children really shouldn't be working in the coal or logging industries, but desperate times can call for desperate measures. In between all the building, researching and law bringing, you'll send scouts out into the frozen wasteland surrounding your settlement. Points of interest on the map can be explored, revealing stashes of supplies or fellow survivors, or some complex moral decisions. Do you bring 6 survivors back, where they'll clog your medical centres before maybe getting better and lending a hand, or do you leave them to die and take all their stuff? If you see a group of survivors on the map, you can send your scouts out to intercept, bringing them in a lot faster. If you're in the middle of a labour shortage, this is great, but if you don't have any food or material to build new shelters, you can probably leave them out there a little bit longer. Each scenario has a different end goal. The main storyline has you try and survive an epic storm that rolls in after about a month. Before the storm arrives, you'll need to recall your scouts and outpost teams, removing that source of materials. Once the storm arrives, your hothouses and hunter cottages will shut down, meaning no more raw food coming in. You'll need to have enough rations stockpiled to see you through. Coal production will continue, at least to begin with. You'll want an updated generator, heaters and steam hubs to fend off the coal, so it is a good idea to have a huge coal stockpile ahead of time, especially as the cold can eventually cripple your coal mines as tunnels collapse and machinery freezes. Even with enough coal to burn, the temperature can get as low as minus 100 degrees Celsius, which is almost impossible to make comfortable for people in their own homes, much less their workplaces. If you haven't been researching the heating technologies, you probably haven't even made it this far, as everyone would have frozen to death 2 weeks earlier. And that is the brilliance of steampunk. What seems like trivial choices early on can lead to utter ruination or a mad scramble to get everything done in time. It can be tough deciding whether to save some refugees when your existing population is struggling, but those tough choices have to be made by someone. And then at the end of the game, you're treated to a lovely time lapse of your city being built, with overlaid text judging you for all the children smashed by your coal frackers. You monster.
Oh my goodness gracious, let me tell you the news. My head's been wet with the midnight dew. I've been down on my bended knees, talking to the man from Galilee. He spoke to me in a voice so sweet, I thought I heard a shuffle of angels' feet. He called my name and my heart stood still, when he said, man, go do my will. Go tell that long-tongued liar, go and tell that midnight rider, tell the rambler, the